Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor, and this is our final show of 2023. So not only will we be looking forward to the action at Ascot this weekend, but also some of the top class racing over the festive period. And I'm going to be looking at these races sort of in the usual company, because joining me in the studio is Sam Boswell. Sam, I'm delighted that you're here because you had a phenomenal week last week. Broadway Boy, Shanna Bob, Nurse Susan, so very well done.
Yeah, glad to chip in really, because I think you and Dec have been keeping the ship on profitable-ish terms, so it was good to have three winners, and yeah, all really nice horses. Broadway Boy, I think certainly very exciting, winning despite a few little jumping errors going to pot halfway round. I really was very taken with him, and yeah, a good week's racing, but how exciting are we now about the Christmas racing? And we got a treat for everyone, Kate. I'll mention it now, get it out of the way. The BetVictor boosts. Make sure you check out the bespoke BetVictor boost sites. There'll be a QR code appearing somewhere on the screen as I say this. Do check them out. Your tips will get boosted, my tips will get boosted, Dec's tips will get boosted, our anti-post selections, one of them will get boosted on there. Loads of variants to it. All three of our selections will be placed, for example, if it's our next best, things like that. They'll all be on the site every week as we go into next year, but we're testing things out for now. So if people want to get involved, try and get some value. And if our horses drift, the prices will get bigger as well. So it's all very dynamic, very clever. The tech bods at BetVictor have sorted it all out. So get stuck in and hopefully there'll be a Christmas present or two on there for people.
Hopefully so. And there was me thinking that you were going to say that the treat was our Christmas jumper choice today. Now, this was Sam's decision that we were going to be going with these Christmas jumpers today. But someone who definitely got the memo, not here with us in the studio, is Declan Ricks, who, by the power of technology, is with us. Dec, looking very smart, trusting that you're having a fantastic time at home.
Yes, good to be home. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you guys, but just the way Christmas fell this year, it's Ascot's a little bit too close to Christmas Day. But big well done to Sam last week. He must have a pain in his back from carrying us, but brilliant 3 tips put up. And who says bookmakers cannot tip?
No, certainly not in this sense. And yeah, Dec's been well advertising chiropractors for a few of us, hasn't he, in the last weeks on this show. But yeah, great that you are still with us anyway, Dec. Right, before we get stuck into the action, a reminder as ever to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction. Right, we kickstart at Ascot with the Grade 1 contest this weekend. This, of course, is the long walk hurdle. It comes up at 2:25 over 3 miles. And what a race we have in store. The old guard of Paisley Park, champ Dashel Drasher versus the young guns of Crambo and West Balboa. The young guns, though, heading the betting. But Dec, which side of the fence did you land?
Yeah, well, we've got 10 runners in here, a pair of 11-year-olds in Champ and Paisley Park and a 10-year-old in Dashel Drasher, who might be a little bit vulnerable if the ground continues to get quicker and quicker. You know, that trio are among the top 5 in the betting against Crambo and the mare West Balboa. But those two look very short in the betting to me, especially Crambo. So it looked like a race to have an each-way swing. And I'm actually going to go with Red Risk at the prices. You know, only a short head separated him and West Balboa in the Lanzarote back in January. He is £2 worse off at the weights now, but he's a much, much bigger price. And I think the fact that he comes in here relatively fresh is a big positive. He's ground versatile, this guy. He's got a very good attitude. I'm hoping to sharpen up for his recent run at Wetherby. And I think the quickening ground will definitely suit him more than most of this field. So, yeah, we'll start off with a big one this week in the El Ginger Boy Red Risk.
OK, Red Risk, then it is for Dec. Sam, where were you looking?
Yeah, it's a really interesting market. I'm going to sort of contradict myself a little bit. The horse I want to back here, I'm convinced will end up a bigger price, and it is Crambo. I think he's been put on, I should say, at that potential. He's obviously only raced once at the trip, and he ended up, I think anyone could see that run at Haydock. Potentially he could have ended up finishing a little bit closer to winning it, and I think the third on paper can be upgraded for what he achieved and how he ended up there. Johnny Burke takes over. I'm not particularly fussed either way about the jockey. I think this is a horse with huge potential. I really, really like him. But when those Saturday more casual punters get involved, they are going to be backing the likes of Champ, the likes of Paisley Park. I think Crambo will end up 9-2, maybe even 5-1, but the drift won't deter me. The drift isn't going to occur because of his chances. It's going to occur because people want to be with their more familiar horses that they know more about. You can make a case for them. They've been there, they've done that, they've got the T-shirt. I still believe there's enough to come from Crambo that he will take that step forward and he will be a contender, I think, for the Stayers Hurdle come March. And if he's going to be, he's going to have to be winning here. There's all sorts of different rogues and horses in here you can make cases for, some old favourites. I love Dash or Drasher, but Declan's made a very fair point. It does look like the ground's not going to go his way. Go Sheen even at a huge price, Kate. I wonder if you're going to be going back to an old friend once again. I'll leave that one for you to talk about potentially. And West Balboa, she deserves respect at the head of the bed in getting the £7. So, yeah, a cracking renewal. I am with Crambo, but I think we'll get bigger than 7-2.
Yeah, that was the thing for me about Crambo. I love this horse. And, of course, I napped him last time out at Haydock. And I napped him because I thought he was a graded performer in a handicap that he was going to be able to work up to take advantage of the Stayers division. But that price just doesn't interest me. So I like your angle of the drift potentially then here. Now, of course, X gone for a really big price one in here. But when I looked at this race, saw the difference between these younger horses, the new upcomers, and the more established types. And you keep thinking to yourself, well, this isn't a vintage crop of staying hurdlers. One of these newcomers is going to come along and just blow this division apart. But how many seasons now have we been saying that for? And they just haven't. They haven't so far. And they still, West Balboa and Crambo at the head of the market, still have to, on all known figures, up their game to be meeting the likes of Paisley Park, Dash or Drasher, and even then Champ with his record fresh as well, which I am very concerned about. But I just thought, you know what, stick with what I know, not Goshen. Go with Paisley Park then in here because he's had the ideal prep for this. Yes, he was probably still a little bit below his best when he was second to Dash or Drasher last time out on that reappearance start. But he was giving £6 to Dash or Drasher there, only losing by a head. So with the weight turnaround, a race he's won 3 times already, third on the other occasion. And as I say, on all known figures, the young'uns will still have to improve to be getting up to what he is still showing at the age of 11/12, well, going on to 12. And if Goshen goes and wins this at 50-1, then Christmas is cancelled for Kate. So, right, on Paisley Park then for me, Sam.
Crambo for me.
And Deck.
Red risk for me, please.
A big price play then for Deck and our opening, but 3 different selections. Now, before we move on to our next race, if you're enjoying the show, do remember to subscribe to the At The Races YouTube channel and also hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode. Right, on to the next race at Ascot. Just over an hour later, we have a Premier Handicap Hurdle for 4-year-olds and over just shy of 2 miles at 3:35. Now, Nicky Henderson, he has 3 in here. Nico de Boinville is electing to ride the current favourite and Greatwood Hurdle winner, Iberico Lord. But Sam, what was the play for you?
Yeah, it is a Nicky Henderson horse for me, and I've come down with the market leader rather unoriginally. But it's interesting. Iberico Lord's going to have to do something that not many Greatwood winners do, which is to follow up next time out. I did see a stat to suggest that, you know, you're going to have to be a very good horse. The £8 rise for that win, is it fair? I think it is, personally. I think, you know, the horse is incredibly unexposed. That was the first start of the season and did it in such a nice fashion. But listen, like I say, I'm contradicting myself once again because I've got to do something that the horse hasn't achieved before, really, from Greatwoods to go and win this. But I just think he's a cut above. I think he could be I think, take Constitution Hill out the picture. We are waiting, aren't we, for something to really springboard in the UK in that 2-mile hurdle division and make the leap. And potentially, Iberico Lord could be one of those sort of improving types that ends the season, you know, to be there or thereabouts as the second best hurdler in the UK over 2 miles. Going through the rest of the field, only a matter of time. Best of luck with that project if you want to get involved. But I just can't trust the horse. I'm sure there is a big one in him, but 11-2 wouldn't interest me. Lucia, I've kind of come off her bandwagon a little bit. Double figure price potentially might interest a few. I just wonder if she's just a little bit soft now. I'm just starting to wonder. But it was a fair third in that race last time out. So yeah, for me, I'm siding with the favourite here. I think it's the best of the Nicky Henderson trio, and I think it'll be the winner. Yeah, so hopefully then Nico de Boinville has chosen right for you of Iberico Lord. Deck, what are you looking at?
Well, I think old Sammy Boy's got the right stable, but he's got the wrong horse. That's what I'm hoping. I'm actually with Lucia here. It's an interesting race. I think on paper this could prove to be pretty tactical, and if the ground kind of keep quickening up there at Ascot, especially with all the wind, you know, I think it's going to be miles away from the Greatwood test that Iberico Lord won. You know, that was a really soft ground, well-run race, and he looked good. I don't want to be too dismissive of him because he's got a wonderful attitude and he's a brilliant jumper. But I just think Lucia, she was beaten 10 lengths by her stablemate, but she's £8 better off, and I think she's going to be much better suited to the drying ground. Look, I am a little bit worried in how tamely, and I think Sam just touched on it there, how tamely she finished in the Great Wood, and I didn't really like her head carriage late. I'm hoping that was more of a case of her getting tired. But before that, she looked in great order with herself. She jumped and she travelled for fun. I'm just hoping the swing in the weights and the quickening conditions can get her a lot closer to her stablemate. And what a spare ride for Paul O'Brien to pick up as well. Obviously, a man attached to the Harry Derham yard who are going very well. So, yeah, a big spin for Paul, and wishing him well.
I can't believe you're abandoning your Hansard. There's no room for sentiment when it comes to you, Dec, here whatsoever, but you're flipping it now and going with Lucia. Now, she was one of my 3 again in here, so this is my tri-cast basically sorted. Lucia, Nemean, Lion, and my main play, Hansard, who, of course, Dec did tip up to win Jerry Fielden last time out on his handicap debut. And I've really jumped on the Hansard bandwagon now. But for all that, he's the shortest price of my 3 selections in here, because this is such a tricky race to solve. But Hansard, again, that price is just a bit too juicy for me to ignore. A really likeable horse, properly came good last time out, winning that Jerry Fielden at Newbury on his handicap debut. I loved how he settled, and he just looked a lot more mature. And I just hope that he gets another good gallop to aim at here in this likeable race. Now, admittedly, last time out, the favourite did bomb, so part of that for me might be taken with a pinch of salt, but I think that's probably a harsh view to have with it. And even so, this £4 rise still looks very feasible for him to overcome. So Hansard for me. I'll take up the mantle from Dec then, who's with Lucia. And Sam?
It's got to be the favourite for me. I'm just tipping favourites, aren't I, so far this week? Very unoriginal. Iberico Lord.
Iberico Lord then for Sam. OK, different selections yet again then in our second race. Do let us know your own selections, though, in the comments section below. Right, that is Ascot done and dusted for now, because we're going to have a look further afield to the 26th of December, of course, at Kempton, the big race then over the festive period. This is, of course, the Grade 1 at King George, over 3 miles for 4-year-olds and over. Now, a race that is fascinating, and we're not entirely sure of the final makeup of this race at the time of recording, but it's Allaho for Ireland at the head of the market from Brave Man's Game for Britain, who is currently in second. Now, Dec, you tipped off Allaho a few weeks ago now, so you must be pretty smug right now.
Yeah, a little bit smug, and there's definitely a sense of me going to be hedging my bets here somewhat. I think we put up Allaho around 5-1, so I'm very happy with that, even though we probably should approach it from a different market, although I suppose technically this is still an anti-post market. Yeah, but look, as you said, Kate, it's a fascinating race. For me, it's a race where many have lingering doubts over them. You know, this is going to be Allaho's second run back off a long absence. And he's got a pretty bad habit of kind of jumping left, adjusting left, and running down some fences to his left. So whether or not Kempton's going to suit him, we'll see. He could run a similar race to what Vitour did in 2015. Brave Man's Game, on the other hand, he still does an awful lot right in how he kind of travels and how he jumps, but I just did not like how he finished at Haydock. He was hanging, and I thought he should have finished out his race a little bit better than that, given it wasn't a proper end-to-end gallop. Look, my selection is the real whacker. He himself does have questions to answer on the back of his Paddy Power Gold Cup run. He was found to be lame after the race. But look, I think he deserves another go. He was so good over fences as a novice last season. He really was. And this fella's on song. He's an excellent jumper of a fence with a very high cruising speed. And I think that kind of tempo of a normal King George will really suit him. And the other thing with him, on what we saw last season, there could be more to come when the Neville Yard get him into good shape, because he was winning so many of his races, basically idling his brains out, you know, being a typical herd animal, looking for his mates, winning so well. Like I said, he's a good jumper, but as opposed to Allaho, who can go a little bit left, he goes a little bit right. So I'm hoping Kempton will suit him. So yes, it's up the real whacker for me.
OK, so slight hedging of bets there, but for play at this stage, this close to the race, and those prices are real whacker then for Dec. But of course, he is sitting on that pretty anti-post play then with Allaho. Now, the pair of us two, oh, geez, we sided with Shishkin from our anti-post play. Little did we know he was going to refuse to race at Ascot. So are you sticking or twisting?
I'm going to have to twist, Kate, here, which is a shame. But what I would say is, there are different angles to play these kind of races. BetVictor do offer in-running prices like a lot of other firms, and you know, it'd be fascinating to see how short he goes. Should he just jump off and get to the first fence? I think that's quite an interesting debate in its own right. Dec's hit the nail on the head here. You go through this and you can put genuine question marks next to every horse. Brave Man's Game is he as good as he once was? Coming in here, having that additional run before running in the King George, the last horse that had 2 runs to win the King George was Frodon, and that you have got to go back a little while for that, and I don't think it was a vintage renewal. The Real Whacker, I tipped him up in the Paddy Power preview that we did, really liked him, thought he could defy that, and he couldn't. For me, I can't take him here. I think this is going to be really deep. I'd love to see him. I think he will win a big pot this season. I'm just not sure it's here. Royal Pagaille, very impressive last time out, but not going to get his ground. So I've gone round and round the houses and come back to Declan's selection, but Declan's anti-post selection, but at a much shorter price. Allaho, listen, Paul Towner's going to come over here and ride. I know it's a King George, but he's going to be leaving behind some pretty tasty stuff at home. They're going to have to hope this horse is cherry ripe. Willie Mullins is an excellent target trainer. I know the Clonmel run, it didn't really beat too much, was it Janadil in second, but I really do like the horse. I don't think the ground's going to be too much of an issue. I just don't want to see it get too quick for him. I do think just a little bit of juice in there, just because of the nature of the style of run he has. But apart from that, he's kind of the more solid option in the market. It's a real shame we're not seeing Jerry Colomb here, because I think he's a very high-class horse, and I still would have backed him, I think, here against Allaho. But Allaho for me, Kate, another big win for the Irish. How about you?
Yeah, I think so as well. I just think if you line up all of these horses at their very best, which is the most talented horse, and I think Allaho is by some degree as well. And the concern, as you've just said, they all have questions to have to answer here. His is the fact he had that abdominal bleed, which meant that he missed all of last season. He was therefore more than entitled to be tired on his reappearance start, which he did win anyway, but the ground was so hideously testing there, a mammoth layoff for him as well. So he had no right to be impressive, really, and that would probably be more suspicious if he was, to be honest. So he's had the right turnaround time then to come here. I think the track will be fine for him as well. Like I say, I wouldn't want it to get too quick, but I don't think it will be. No. I think it'll just be decent winter ground though for him, and he just has that cruising speed, which I think he'll be able to put these to the sword. And you could arguably say that when he was up to 3 miles in April 2022 and winning the Punchestown Gold Cup, that was a career best from him. So the trip's no issue for him whatsoever, and he's just a horse where he's always stuck in my mind, where as I was very fortunate back for the Ryanair in 2022 to just lead up one side of him, because Ruth, who we've just seen in picture there, was leading up one side of him. He was such a handful. She asked if I could come grab a rein, and I have never in my life felt more power from a horse. He's just unbelievable, this animal. So I think he's an absolute power pack of a beast. And Allaho, I know he's at the head of the market, but I'm siding with him as well. And Dex sitting on his anti-post play with Allaho, but the Real Whacker then for the main play for him for now. But that is a look ahead to the King George. Again, do let us know your own selections in the comments section below. Now we're looking even further afield to the 27th of December at Chepstow with the Welsh National over 3 miles, 6.5 furlongs, a premier handicap for Chase, of course. Now, Super Survivor is the current favourite for BetVictor ambassador Jamie Snowden, and the 2021 winner, I Will Do It, prominent in the market also. But Sam, who did you like?
Yeah, best of luck to Jamie and Gav. Will be teaming up with Super Survivor at the head of betting. There's a really strong case to be made for that horse, but at the prices, I was hoping for slightly bigger on Autonomous Cloud for the Fergal O'Brien team. Fergal and his team absolutely cherry ripe at the moment. Time of recording, just shy of a 30% strike rate, which is what I love going into these busy festive periods. The horse himself has been brought along really nicely. Just sort of a couple of small field wins in chases, and you kind of think, you know, watching him here at Uttoxeter, I don't think he had to do too much when it came to kind of getting the better of a few rivals. But I've just got a strong feeling he's a big horse. I'm really excited to see how he can go in this kind of proper big field handicap. Loads of potential to improve again, and I just think this has been very much a target. Paddy Brennan was quoted as saying that, I think, as much in one of the post-race comments I read after one of the wins. And for me, I just thought sevens is probably as short as I'd want to take, but I felt like he's definitely going to be one of those nice staying chases in the making that will continue to progress throughout the season, and I think he'll put up a big show. OK, like it a lot then. And to be fair, 7-1 is probably a feasible price for, I'd say this race has definitely been targeted at 4. And just really quickly as well, Kate, do keep an eye on the weather at Chepstow. I fell into the trap of thinking, I better look for horses that are going to want it just bottomless. No rain due between now and the big race, which is unheard of, and it's only soft at the moment. So you might end up just that better side of soft.
Yeah, what do we do with Chepstow when it's not heavy ground and testing at this time of year? It's just, yeah, it doesn't sit well with me anyway. But Tech, weather watch and who wins?
I can't believe El Sammy Boy's not putting up the Snowden horse, you know. What more does Jamie have to do to get your support, you know, winning Hennessy's and whatnot? But yeah, look, I'm with Jamie's horse. I really like Super Survivor. You know, with I Will Do It sets her own. I think Super Survivor is going to carry just 10 stone 5. He's a former Irish point-to-pointer who's only had 7 career starts, and he remains thoroughly unexposed. And I was just going back through his pedigree. His granddam is actually a half-sister to horses like Best Mate, Cornish Rebel and Inca Trail. I really enjoyed going back looking at some of those names, especially Cornish Rebel and Inca Trail. Those are two names from blast from the past, really. But look, Super Survivor, he's also unbeaten at Chepstow in 2 runs. But what I really loved was his seasonal debut. To me, everything about him just looked better. You know, last season he had a real behind the bridle kind of type nature to him. But at Lingfield last time out, he looked sharper. He was probably just as well as he's ever jumped as well. He was outpaced before the straight, before running on, which I'm hoping suggests visually and both on pedigree, he'll thrive further over this kind of stamina test. And as well, he's always had a great attitude, and I suspect he'll take a nice step forward fitness-wise, because just kind of looking at some of the side-on shots at Lingfield last time out, he a little bit like myself, pre and post-Christmas, he looked a little bit tubby. So I'm hoping he will improve for the run. So yes, Survivor to win the Welsh National, which of course will be live on Sky Sports Racing on the 27th.
It certainly will be. Doubly company man there, live on Sky Sports Racing and tipping off a Jamie Snowden horse for BetVictor ambassador, of course, that he is. So Deck hitting 2 nails on the head. Their Christmas bonuses all round for Deck. Right, I'm going to disagree with the pair of you two. I'm not going to, again, let any sort of ambassadorship get in my way, because Nassalam is the one for me. He did not let us down with the Welsh Grand National trial when we last saw him. He was really well supported for that as well. We know the record that the Welsh Grand National trial winners have in the race itself of late. 2 of the last 3 winners of the main event did win the trial. So I'm hoping that's going to be the same case again for Nassalam, because I liked him on that occasion because he was ticking a whole load of trend boxes. And again, he is ticking the most for me this time around. And so I think he can defy this £4 rise. He won with plenty enough in hand, remains unexposed as a staying chaser, and he just looks an improved, stronger model this year as well. Still only a 6-year-old, rising 7. Course and distance win to his name, and a perfect prep as well. So again, different selections. One of us is going to, well, hopefully, well, at least one of us is going to be happy then over the Christmas period. But 3 different selections then for the Welsh Grand National. Again, do let us know your own selections in the comment section below. Now, before we wrap up this part of the show, of course, we have a whole load of festive action to go at. So lads, I just want to very quickly throw to you, Sam, what are you looking forward to most over the festive period?
Oh, good turkey dinner, Kate. But come to the racing, more importantly. Yeah, it's fantastic. My eye will be firmly over in Ireland for some brilliant action at down Royal Limerick and Leopardstown. But it's the type of horses you see this time of year. You know, I know our anti-post book has certainly seen plenty of interest in Bunting, for example, Willie Mullins for the Triumph Hurdle. Now I think 10-1 before he's even had a run. I'm very much on the side of let's take him on, but I'm about to possibly be very worried, and people out there in Twitter land that got their 25s back in August time when betting first opened are going to be very excited about seeing these prospects come out. But he won't be a betting proposition, but I'll certainly be tuned in and interested to see how he'll be priced up after he runs, because that's the beauty of this time of year, those big guns coming out. So for me, it's all about those novices, those unexposed horses that we're getting to see, and it's usually very competitive. You know, that's the other beauty of it. We're not seeing things go off at very short prices. They've actually got things to run against them. So Christmas racing in general, but yeah, how the markets will end up moving for Cheltenham.
Oh, massively so. There's going to be some amount of movements, aren't there? And not to, I was going to say after time, anti-post after time. It's not really after time because we haven't even seen him run yet. Sort of middle after timing, I guess, then, for those early prices about Bunting, because he was one of my horses I tipped up from an anti-post play there at the start of the season. But one of the other horses I tipped up at that point was Irish Point for the Stayers Hurdle. Now, I'm really hoping we get to see him in the Jack de Bromhead Christmas Hurdle at Leopardstown on the 28th of December. Hopefully he'll be over 3 miles then, and we'll get to see him, because he did win over 2 mile 1, of course, last time out, but he's already proven himself as a better horse over 2.5 miles, as seen in the photos here, and winning at Aintree, of course, in the Grade 1 Mersey Novices Hurdle. And he was one that I thought, for all that we talk about the Stayers Hurdle division, younger horses haven't been able to blow this division apart. He's one I think is capable of doing that. So he can hopefully beat the quirky yet stamina-laden Home by the Lee, should both of them go to Vijay Bromhead Christmas Hurdle at Leopardstown. But Irish Point is a horse I am hugely looking forward to seeing, and hopefully my anti-post plays will still be intact post the Christmas period. Deck, what are you looking forward to?
Even more so now, I think I'm looking forward to the Savills Chase at Leopardstown. Obviously, Kempton's loss is going to be Leopardstown's gain, isn't it? Because Jerry Colomb has now been confirmed for the Savills. And, you know, what a race that is. Jerry Colomb, Galopin de Champs, fast or slow. You've got the previous genius of a Plutard, who the de Bromhead Yard have making positive signs about. It's going to be really interesting to see how Galopin de Champs comes forward from his seasonal debut. You know, I think that was a farce of a race the last time out of Punchestown, the John Durkin. They just didn't go any pace. It didn't suit him. It'll be interesting to see if Paul Townend makes more use of him. I think they need to kind of wake him up now a bit, Galopin. They need to get him travelling like his old self and jumping like his old self. You know, Jerry Colomb was easily taken off the bridle by the likes of Conflated at Leopardstown. You know, Galopin's just a much better horse than him as well. And you know, so is probably Faster Slow. So that's going to be an absolute cracker. So really looking forward to the Savills.
Oh, there is just so much on offer, isn't there? It's one of the busiest time of years and so much to look forward to. So hopefully we've given you just a little bit of a flavour then of everything that we have over the festive period. But that is everything from us in this section. Now we're going to head over to the Skypad to give you our best bets for the weekend. OK, real talk now. Best bets of the weekend. Deck, by the power of technology yet again, you're up.
Yes, we're going to go to the King George for the best bet over the festive period, and I think the real whacker in the betting without Allaho market is I'm hoping is going to be a Nat Material. Look, Allaho is so good; he has the potential to absolutely blow away this field. But the real whacker, you know, I think I could see him beating Brave Man's Game if kind of the vibes around Brave Man's Game, you know, are correct. He just doesn't look the same horse to me this season. The real whacker's a young horse, still got plenty, doesn't have many miles on the clock and does a lot right. I could see him being suited to Kempton. So the real whacker without Allaho is going to be the Nap. Then the next best, we're going to go to Ascot on Saturday, and it's going to be Victorino. This guy was really impressive over course and distance 49 days ago. And for a former French-based horse, he looked very much at home on Ascot's slick surface. So I'm hoping that ground continues to dry there at Ascot, because it's going to be no issue to him. On the other hand, he takes on plenty of horses with soft ground form. So I'm hoping conditions will be a major key to victory for Victorino, for the very much red-hot Venetia Williams team. And then the long shot's going to be in the Betfair Exchange Trophy. It's going to be Move It Like Mini. I really like this guy. I think he's brutally overpriced. He's improved 1.5 stone since the start of last year, and his recent win at Huntingdon suggested he was still in good order and could go in again. Now, fair enough, this is a much more competitive race, but if Ascot again don't get any rain, he'll be at home on a fast surface. He's a strong traveller, but he stays 2 miles very well. And in what could be a tactical race, his prominent style of racing, with the very much in form Finn Lambert taking £5 off his back, could see him at least at the minimum hit the places in a very open race.
Oh, you've gone for some big prices this weekend, Dex, so we like this a lot. Hopefully you'll be very happy at the end of the Christmas period. Therefore, Sam, your best bets.
Yeah, I'm going to head to Ascot to get us started with the Nap. People that were watching a couple of weeks ago know I pulled out that stat about Johnny De La Haye horses, and I've got 2 of the 3 in my best bet section are going to come from him. But we'll kick off with Solo, who runs in just a 3-runner graduation chase. He is a short price, but I was looking for something that I can try and put in with a football bet or 2 to maybe try and get the turkey money in. And I thought Solo, go back through the form book. He got the better of That's All Right Gino in the Pendle last year. That firm's form is working out, I should say. Second on seasonal reappearance, and the winner of that race then ran nicely next time out to win. So yeah, plenty of form stacking up for Solo to get the better in just a small field graduation chase. Declan and me are head-to-head on our next best, but I don't think he'll mind if Gitmaker goes and wins, because it will frank the form of Super Survivor, who he beat last time out. So Declan, there you go. There's your consolation prize for when I get the better of you. And we can't have a weekend winner show without me tipping up a BetVictor brand ambassador horse, can we? And Jamie Snowden's Gitmaker. you. And then the long shot, we touched on the long walk, didn't we? And it's kind of the battle of the, will we see some young pretenders? Well, one that potentially could be a pretender to the staying crown, I think, over hurdles is Blue King Daru, who was a good winner last time out. Another Johnny Delahaye horse. Needs to take a massive step forward, and it'd be very impressive at this age to get the better of some seasoned veterans. But I think he'll outrun his price and could make the frame.
Like it a lot. And of course, for the Bet Boost as well, then, just as a reminder.
Yeah, make sure you head over to the Bet Boost page. You'll be able to find various boosts of our various horses. Traders have even suggested they may combo ours up, our best bets, and we'll see what we can do. But yeah, scan that QR code and it'll take you straight there. A few Christmas presents on there, including some anti-post boosts.
OK, lots to look forward to. Well, hopefully we've got my own best bets to look forward to as well, because I'm sticking with a horse that I sided with last time out, who I thought was pretty unlucky to finish second. That is Credo. Now, she actually runs in the Tommy Whittle handicap chase up at Haydock. I thought she ran a blinder over this course and distance, bumping into the reopposing Famous Bridge, who beat Credo by 1 length, but she was giving him £1. She's £3 better off now. And I think that Famous Bridge had positional bias that day. Credo was ridden in rear, so I think she is capable of reversing the form in a race that isn't or doesn't tend to be as pace biased as that previous Haydock contest. Now, Sam, I'm with you on Gitmaker in the 3 o'clock at Ascot for the next best bet here. A nice price as well, I thought, considering his chances, bidding for a 4-time, picking up right from where he left off last season with that comfortable success at Lingfield. And jumping has been a real asset of his. So hopefully that will transfer to Ascot. Now, my long shot actually goes in the same race as well in that Silver Cup Premier Handicap Chase. And it's Bangers and Cash, who's 33-1 as the outsider. Now, admittedly, he has not run well on both of his starts so far this season. He pulled up in a super competitive Pertemps Handicap Hurdle at Cheltenham. Then he was 8th of 13 in a Premier Handicap Chase, again at Cheltenham. So tough task. This is also admittedly, but back down the handicap now, only £3 higher than when for signing off last season with a win at Taunton, when he looked hugely progressive as well. So I'm just hoping he can rediscover that form and is well treated to be able to do so. But that is everything from us on this week's show. So a big thank you to Sam and to Dec for all of their hard work as per usual. I hope you both have a fantastic Christmas, and we all hope that you at home have a fantastic Christmas as well. And thank you so much for supporting us in what has been our first year of this show. We really have appreciated it the whole way through. So we will see you again in 2024. So much more top quality racing to look forward to. So hopefully you can join us then.